friends, what is going on? We are back with a brand new video. Today we are reviewing Dehancer, which is a fully featured film simulation tool for DaVinci Resolve, Adobe Premiere, as well as for photo editing tools, and also a very handy app that you can use on your phone. Now, in the past, film emulation tools, again, aren't anything new, but my own experience in the past was, one, either they didn't provide me with the look that I wanted, or number two, I had to do like other stuff on top of the film emulation tool, and so it sort of bogged down my system. Things started to get slow, and I'm pretty sure you've been there before when you're on your timeline and you start having to like render things, and you're sitting there for like an hour or 2 hours, depending on how long your timeline is. It can be kind of annoying and be frustrating when you just want to have a more streamlined and a more efficient and optimal performance-ready timeline. And so when the people at Dehancer reached out to me, I said, sure, hey, let me try it out because it's been a while since I've used a film emulation tool. And also I wanted to see where things were in the present tense when it comes to tools, availability, functionality, and also performance. So today I wanted to offer a breakdown as far as like a tutorial goes on how to use Dehancer. What are the tools like? How do they work in DaVinci Resolve specifically, as well as their mobile app for iPhones and for mobile phones, which I actually really like. That being said, let's go ahead and hop into DaVinci Resolve and let's take a look at Dehancer. Let me disable my regular conversion LUTs. Let's enable Dehancer and we'll go through some of the options. So one thing I like about Dehancer is, say there's a project where you want it to look pretty simple. You don't want any stylized look. It's maybe a corporate client, or maybe it's a personal brand that they want it to look very high key, right? And you're like, the film look may not be the best choice. In that instance, what you can do is you can use Dehancer. Let me disable some of these things so you don't nothing is conflicting. Say you just need something that is again just like a Rec 709 to or your log to 709 conversion, okay, and that's all you want, that's all you need. With Dehancer you have that option, right? So when you choose your camera profile, you can click on that option, and then from here your vendors, they have everything from your Apple iPhones, it's really dark, you have your Alexa 35s, you have your Alexa minis, you have everything, all the way down to your DJI drones, your action cameras, your Panasonic, maybe you're rocking a GH5 or you're rocking an S1H, great cameras. In this instance, we are shooting on the Red Komodo, right? So I choose Red. I choose Komodo 6K since I was not using the Komodo X, and then we were shooting in IPP2 red wide gamma log 3G10, right? And the only thing I've done here is adjusted the white balance after the node. Okay, so if I disable this, you notice that there's a lot of red in here. Okay, but as far as like just a standard conversion LUT, right? Maybe this is all you want. Oh, actually, I had this disabled. There we go, and I had that enabled. Okay, so maybe you just want this, and that's totally fine, right? Again, there's gonna be projects where you want something stylized, and then there's gonna be projects where you want just a very clean look, okay? And Dehancer covers both of those spectrums. Now let's get into something more stylized, right? Say you want a film look. If you do, then amazing. Then you have one of the best tools available out there. You go under the film tab here, and again, one thing I should note is every tab in here, I really like how they did this. There is a enable node. So say you don't like grain, cool. Then you can disable the grain. Say you like halation, you can enable your halation, and if you don't like halation, then you can disable it, right? So literally every option in here you can disable, which is amazing. Okay, let's go ahead and enable our film emulation look, which is the Kodak Vision 3 250 daylight. Okay, they have literally every kind of film stock you can think of, from your tungstens, your daylights, to your cine stills, to Fuji, Kodak. I'll have a description of the ones that I like the most, the ones I've used in the past, and ones that I really like from Dehancer. I will list them like in a little box in the corner or something like that, so that way you can check those out. But this is pretty much this is the default film profile, the film emulation look. And for the most part, you can get away with this, right? I mean, this is like a great look. So we have this enabled. You have the ability to push and pull or adjust the exposure value, right? So if I disable this, I'm at 0.348. Okay, so if I disable this, you know, it just looks what it is, right? If I move the slider down, I can start to affect the exposure difference. If I bring it up, I can again affect the exposure difference. Okay, so a great tool to have where you can easily just make your exposure changes here. And again, they're not very drastic at all because they're taking all the information from your camera, your log profile, and then as well as the film emulation itself, and pulling and pushing only what it needs to affect, and not just like, you know, taking the global thing and then just cranking it. Okay, start with the grain. So I like this option a lot because they give you everything from, say you want, you know, a thicker 8mm, 16mm, 35mm, all the way to you know, large format 65mm, as well as different ISO options, right? So for me, I like 65mm because it provides a very subtle amount of grain, depending on what ISO value you choose. Whereas with the 35mm, it's definitely a heavier type of grain, and especially if you go like 16, like super 16 or 8mm, like very heavy grain. But you have the options, which is great. Okay, for me, I like so far what I've liked so far. If I enable this is 65mm ISO 250. ISO 50, you can still see it, and maybe that's what you prefer, something just very subtle, you know. But if you want, you know, noticeable grain, but not like really chunky grain, I would stick to the 65 millimeter and ISO 250, and then you can adjust the amount from, you know, a lot of grain to something just a little bit of an aesthetic, and like 15, you know, 10 to 15 is like fine for me. Next is halation. So if I enable this right now, again, we have different options from 8mm to super 16 to super 35, as well as 65 or 70mm large format. I tend to stick again with the 65 and 70mm. From here, your halation may be very, very, very unnoticeable, or it might be just very subtle. And again, that's what I like. We're just trying to make like very, very subtle adjustments, right? So if I had, say, like again, it may not be prominent because there really isn't anything here for the halation to be working. Mine is like her eyes, but very, very subtle. You know, say if I had like a light bulb back here, like a bare bulb, like a 5-watt bulb back here, the halation would definitely, you know, you would see the halation taking place. Or maybe if there was like a car and the mirrors of the car and the sun is backlighting the mirror, then you could definitely see the halation option there. The bloom option, let me disable this so that way you can just see kind of everything for what it is. Disable the grain. Enable the bloom. Again, bloom 65, 70mm, I like a lot. You can again choose what you like. From here, amplify. Again, do you want it a little bit more? Do you want more bloomage around certain highlights? You can see around her shoulder area. And I'm maxed out. If I disable this, that tends to go away, and now the whole image is being affected. So if I enable this, right, you can even see from like you need exposure on this, otherwise the bloom's not going to work. So you can see from the key side of her face to her eyes, to her hair, to her shoulder, right? And even for our foreground tone, you can see this little like outline, kind of like a power window almost, right, around him. And if I disable that, all of it goes away, right? So again, bloom is there for you to help stylize your images. I like just a little bit, right? So typically like 20 is pretty good for me. It's just a little something to bring out your characters and to provide something a little bit more fashionable. Okay, and I think Dehancer is honestly probably the best tool out there to give you everything from your conversion LUT process to your film look process, and being able to have everything in one tool. You don't need to have like multiple tools to just do like, you know, 5 different things. Dehancer has everything that you need in this one tool. Once again, there is a mobile app, which is both the photo and video editor in one application. The video editor features additional tools such as gate weave and film breadth. It's compatible with both iPhone and iPad. The Dehancer app isn't just an ordinary app with filters. There's years of scientific research behind their technology. Overall, the color and tools in the app are similar to the ones found in their renowned desktop plugins. Who is Dehancer for, right? You might be thinking, there's other, tools out there. But for me, I feel like the two main categories for people who can really benefit from Dehancer are solo creatives, right? You perhaps don't want to have or spend the time to learn all of the nuances of DaVinci Resolve. And you want one program that can give you everything from like a S-Log or a log to 709 conversion, a film look, and also being able to adjust the look as appropriate, from like the white balance to the highlight areas to the exposure, and also your grain, your halation, and your bloom options. And number two, if you're a small creative agency, maybe you have a staff of like 2-3 people, and say your cinematographer is out on location like during the week, and you want to be able to send dailies, or you want to be able to send reference images back to your editor, having a tool like Dehancer means that your editor doesn't have to guess what your DP or what your cinematographer is doing to the baseline images. You can just basically copy and paste the same settings that your DP sends you, and that way everything is more streamlined, everything is more connected, and you have a look that you can build upon for future projects. All in all, Dehancer is definitely worth the price. It's definitely worth the money as an investment for something you will have for the rest of your production career. If you're looking for a little bit of a discount, use code CREATE10 on checkout, and I'll save you guys 10% off of your purchase for Dehancer. I know for me, I will be using Dehancer for certain particular projects of mine where I want a film look, a very stylized look. And I think out of all the products out there, Dehancer is probably going to be the go-to tool for many of you creatives. That being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did like it, please leave it a thumbs up. I would appreciate it. Please remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel as always, just so you are notified of new content coming out. And last but not least, my filmmaking course will be out September 9th. So be sure that you are tuned in on September 9th for the release video. I will also have a very heavy discount on the first 24 hours of the release, so make sure that you don't miss out on that. Other than that, friends, remember that every day you have an opportunity to create your experience and to write and tell your own story. My name is David Lee, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.